Hey, hello everyone. Hey, today is Friday, May 11th. I have 2:45 right now, 2:45 p.m. That means that the countdown is on. We're down to 9 hours and 15 minutes until the fishing opener. So, I don't know about you guys, but I plan on being out there tonight at midnight. Hopefully catching some walleyes. Anyone else fishing this weekend? If you are, you got to let me know how you did, huh? I hope that the main objective for tonight is just staying warm. It's supposed to get down to like 26 or something like that tonight, and I looked at the forecast for tomorrow. Believe it or not, May 12th tomorrow, and we're looking at snow for the forecast. So, mid-May, northern Minnesota. Gotta love it. All right. Hey, I'm going to read... Again, I'm going to read 2 chapters to you today. Hopefully, we don't get interrupted by a phone call or anything like that while I'm reading. So, read chapter 23 and 24 yesterday. So, I guess today is chapter 25 and 26. Today's chapter 25, is called Ghosts. And here we go. Hideki hiked the soldier's pack up on his shoulders and went back down to the other side of the hill. Where was he going again? South. Yes, that's where he was going. Though the front lines to Ichi Nichi Bashi to find his sister, it was hard to think straight after the explosion. Hideki's head throbbed and his eyes were still blurry. His bare feet were clammy and sore. He needed to get someplace safe and dry where he could lie down first, close his eyes, and find something to eat. American tracer fires streaked across the sky, red lines that crisscrossed the low, gray storm clouds. Artillery shells from both sides shook the ground. Mud filled the cratered fields, and every tree was shattered and broken. It felt like the end of the world. Hideki staggered into what looked like an old Japanese camp. Sandbags were stacked up in a ring, and a torn canvas lean-to tent was tied to what was left of a tree. Hideki guessed the IJA had abandoned the place before they were overrun by American soldiers. Hideki scavenged through the camp, looking for food. His eyes fell on a cardboard ration boxes half buried in the mud, and he dropped to his knees to dig them up. The boxes had food in them, but it was all spoiled. The Japanese soldiers had deliberately destroyed them so they wouldn't fall into enemy hands. A whole crate full of food, ruined. Hideki sobbed once, then dragged himself wearily into a partial shelter of the lean-to. It was muddy and wet under the torn tarp, but at least it kept the rain from pounding on his sore head. Hideki shrugged off the heavy American Army pack and planted it at his feet. It was time to see what was inside. Hideki set aside the shovel attached to the outside of the pack. He would keep that. The other items he examined one by one. Extra socks. Keep, for if he ever found shoes again. Toothpaste and toothbrush? Throw away. Matches and lighter? Keep. Japanese money? That was a surprise. Keep. What looked like an English to Japanese phrase book? Throw away. Cigarettes? Keep. Hideki didn't smoke, but plenty of Japanese soldiers did. He might be able to trade the cigarettes for food. Razor and shaving cream? Not even the young soldier had needed this. So why had he lugged them around with him? Hideki threw them away. Hideki was disappointed not to find any medicine or bandages he could use on his head and his arm and his scraped up elbows and knees. He thought again about the dead American soldier and he shuddered. Hideki pushed the image of the soldier down, trying to forget it, but he knew he never would. Hideki dug deeper into the pack and came up with cardboard boxes that looked like the ones Japanese Army meals came in. Hideki tore open one of the packages. Inside were neat little paper-covered rectangular packets, hard crackers, and something brick-like covered in aluminum foil. There was also a tin can and a key to open it. Food. It had to be. Everything had English words on it to explain what it was, but Hideki couldn't read any of it. Hideki's stomach snarled at him. He wanted to rip open the packets and eat whatever it was, but he hesitated. For months, the Japanese army had told him all the other Okinawans, that the American devils couldn't be trusted, that they would lure them in with the promise of food, only to trick them. What if the English words on one of the packets said poison, and he ate it? He would have fallen right into their trap. Almost crying, Hideki put the lid back on the cardboard box and stuffed it back inside the pack. He wouldn't eat it, but he wouldn't throw it away either. If he was about to die from starvation, he would try the food. By that point, what would he have to lose? But while he could still stagger on, he would wait. As Hideki repacked the bag, he found a waxen, waterproof pocket he hadn't seen before. Inside was a stack of photographs. They were black and white, with a glossy, slick feel to them on the picture side and a thick, coarse paper on the backs. The first picture was of an American boy and a man who must have been his father, dressed up in funny costumes. It wasn't just any American boy, Hideki realized. It was the boy. The one Hideki had killed. The American soldier before he was a soldier. When he was younger even than Hideki. Hideki felt like he was looking at a ghost, and he got goosebumps. Hideki quickly shuffled the picture to the back of the stack. The next picture surprised him. It wasn't of the boy or his family or any other American. It was a photograph of a Japanese soldier in uniform sitting with a woman in a kimono under a cherry tree. His girlfriend or his wife? Hideki guessed. On the back, someone had written, Kanazawa, 1944, in Japanese. Hideki looked at the photo for a long time. The couple must have been on a Banami picnic, a flower viewing picnic. In Japan and Okinawa, people gathered each year with their families and friends to sit under the cherry trees when they bloomed. The picture was black and white, but Hideki could imagine the vibrant pink colors of the blossoms, the bright blue sky. What were they saying to each other, this young man and young woman? Were they planning their lives together? What happened right after the picture was taken? Did they lie back under the trees holding hands as they stared up into the sky? The rest of the pictures were of more Japanese people. Some were Japanese soldiers. Others were women and young children, or older couples who looked like mothers and fathers. Some had places or names written on their back in kanji. Sapporo, Nagasaki, Osaka, Tokyo, mother and father, Hisako and Miyoko, Fatashi and Toyo. Why did an American soldier have these pictures in his pack? The last picture made Hideki freeze. His eyes widened. He knew this picture. It was the photograph from the wall of his sister's school, the one he'd seen an American soldier take from its frame while Hideki was in the same room, pretending to be dead. This American soldier, the boy Hideki had killed, they had been in the same room together long before they had run into each other on the battlefield. One of the other soldiers had used the American's name when he called to him. What was it? Hideki's head was so foggy, he couldn't remember. The soldier had been keeping all these pictures the same way Principal Kojima had carried the pictures of the emperor. Did Americans know about Mabui? Was the soldier carrying the pictures with him so that these people's spirits would be protected and preserved? Hideki hadn't thought the Americans would care about things like that, especially when the Mabui of their, especially not the Mabui of their enemies. The Americans were supposed to be devils and evil. Hideki flipped back to the picture of the boy and his father and studied their faces. They didn't look evil, but what did evil really look like after all? Evil was what you did, not how you appeared on the outside. Rei, Hideki said aloud. That was the other soldier had called the boy. It came back to him through the fog. Ray was the name of the boy Hideki had killed. The air grew cold, and Hideki's skin crawled. He had the singular sensation that he was being watched. But when he looked around, he was alone. With a shiver, Hideki suddenly remembered Ray was another word in Japanese for ghost. Whoa. All right, that was chapter 25. Next chapter is called One Way Out. Hideki was so thirsty he tried to catch rainwater in his mouth, but it wasn't enough. He searched until he found a rivulet of running water in the darkness. The water was muddy and foul, and who knew where it came from and what was in it, but Hideki drank it anyway. He didn't know how far he'd wandered or how long. All he knew was that his head still pounded, his stomach still growled, and Shuri Castle still stood. Someone splashed through the muck nearby, and Hideki searched for his last grenade. The person was bent over and carried something big and round on his back. Was it another American soldier? No, he was too small for that. The shadowy figure drew closer, and Hideki saw it was an older Okinawan boy. On his back, he carried a small wooden barrel. The boy saw Hideki at almost the same moment, and he cried out in surprise, falling backward onto his barrel. I'm sorry, Hideki said. I'm sorry. I'm Okinawan, too. I didn't mean to scare you. Hideki? This other boy asked. Hideki was startled. Was this someone he knew? Hideki, it's Yoshio, the boy said. Hideki reeled. Yoshio? Yoshio was only a year older than him, but this boy looked like he was 10 years older. Yoshio's face was hollow and thin, with deep bags of sleeplessness under his eyes. Yoshio had changed so much in just a few weeks. With a sudden jolt, Hideki wondered if he had too. Yoshio splashed across the water toward him. Hideki flinched, expecting a punch, but Yoshio threw his arms around Hideki instead. Yoshio was hugging him. Hideki stood rigid, expecting a trick, but Yoshio just clapped him on the shoulders. Hideki, it's so good to see you. I thought you died when we attacked the Americans. I thought you were dead too, Hideki said. Yoshio smiled. Hey guys. Shh. Hey. Crazy dogs. I thought you were dead too, Hideki said. Yoshio smiled like they were the best of friends, like Yoshio hadn't tormented him constantly for the past 4 years. What was going on here? What are you doing with that barrel? Hideki asked him. Getting water from my family. Hideki, I found my mother and sister. Can you believe it? It was incredible, yes, but Hideki had found his own father too. It was a small island after all, but the mention of Yoshio's mother and sister made Hideki's heart ache for his dead mother and brother. For a moment, he was lost in a vision of them in the dark, treading water, trying not to slip under the waves, until Yoshio's voice brought him back to the present. We're hiding in a cave nearby. Do you need a dry place to sleep? Yoshio asked. Help me fill this barrel, and I'll take you back there. Hideki was still wary of Yoshio's friendliness, but he helped the boy lug the water barrel back to the cave where his family was hiding. He and Yoshio were met at the entrance by an Okinawan woman and a little girl, Yoshio's mother and sister, and an elderly man and woman who helped them haul the barrel inside. There were more Okinawans deeper inside the cave, too. From the reek of human excrement and sweat, Hideki guessed that most of them hadn't left the cave since the battle had begun. And even so, Hideki was relieved to finally be out of the rain and among his own people. But as his eyes adjusted to the darkness of the cave, he saw something that turned his empty stomach. There was a Japanese soldier here, too. Hideki took a step back toward the entrance of the cave, but Yoshio was too fast for him. "This is my friend Hideki from school," Yoshio told everyone. He put an arm around Hideki and gave him a playful squeeze. Friend? Since when were they friends? "I was just helping Yoshio bring the barrel back," Hideki explained. He backed away from Yoshio. I won't take up any of your space." "No!" the Japanese soldier cried. He ran to block Hideki's way out of the cave. "You can't go. It's not safe. There's Americans everywhere." There was a nervous twitch in his cheek, and his hand shook like he was freezing. He peered nervously through the cave's small entrance. "Did anyone follow you back?" he demanded with big eyes. "No," Hideki said. He was tired, so very, very tired. And now he had another unhinged Japanese soldier to deal with. One had tried to force him out to fight against the Americans, and this one wouldn't let him leave. Hideki put his head in his hands. All he wanted was to lie down, close his eyes, escape the constant pulsing in his ears. I don't understand," Yoshio whispered to Hideki. "Private Miyata wasn't like this yesterday." Yesterday, they probably had more food, Hideki thought. Weeks inside the stinking cave, with bombs falling outside and dwindling food and water, had driven Private Miyata close to his breaking point. Before the Americans had invaded, Hideki had known the Japanese soldiers to be demanding taskmasters. But they had never been crazy, not like this. The war had changed Yoshio somehow for the better, and it had changed soldiers like Private Miyata for the worse. Hideki watched Private Miyata eye the door warily and wondered how long it would be until the soldier returned that suspicious look on the Okinawans. Hideki fought the fog in his head and scanned the cave, looking for another way out. But the only one he could see was through the front entrance and past Private Miyata. Would Miyata shoot him if he tried to leave? Was there any way he could slip past him? The water barrel. Private Miyata had sent Yoshio out tonight to refill the water barrel, and he would send send another expendable Okinawan out to refill it tomorrow. That was how Hideki would get out. The next time they needed a water boy, he would volunteer to go, and he would never come back. All right, that's chapter 26 right there. Total time tonight, wow, almost 18 minutes. All right, hope you're enjoying the book. Hope you're enjoying the weather. A little cooler, a little windier again. Okay. Hopefully you get outside this weekend, do some fishing. Hopefully you catch some fish, huh? Remember, everyone, Sunday's Mother's Day, so do something special for your moms, huh? All right. Take care. Good luck this weekend. Bye.